Hello students, welcome back once again to my channel JK English Studio. Today in this class we are going to study together class 10 English from the book First Flight, the third poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. So let's begin studying with about the author or about the poet. George Leslie Norris was born in 21st May 1921 and died on 6th April 2006. He was a well-known Welsh poet and short story writer. He taught in educational institutions in Britain and America. He published his first poem in 1938 and his first collection of poems was published in 1943. His poems won many prestigious prizes and awards such as Tomley Poetry Prize, the AML Award for Poetry in 1996 and many more. He was also a Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature. His famous works include Finding Gold, The Loud Winder, Phoenix Living Poets series, Ransoms, etc. Through this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, the poet Leslie Norris has underlined the importance of preservation of wildlife in natural habitats. By contrasting the real and the ideal states of living for a caged tiger, he advocates freedom for all wild animals. The poet explains the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. The poet also explains what his life or what the tiger's life could be if he had been a free animal. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by human beings for their own fun. No animal can be happy in captivity, as is the case with all humans. The tiger, which is in cage, is indifferent and unhappy. If he were in the forest, he would love to stalk and kill his prey. Killing some animal for him is not a game but a necessity for survival. Now let's start the explanations of the poem, and let's begin with the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his case, on paths of velvet quiet in his quiet race. In the first line, the word he refers to the tiger, and the poet is using a literary device known as personification, and the tiger is being personified here. The poet says that he stalks in his vivid stripes. Here stalks means follows, and vivid means having deep bright colors. That means the tiger is having a deep bright color, or a color which is a combination of orange and black. He says he stalks in his vivid stripes. Here the poet wants to say that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his bright color skin. He further says that the few steps of his cage, the poet is saying that the tiger can take only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it, or it is not easy to move around, and he is taking a few or a small steps inside the cage. On paths of velvet quiet. Paths here means the paws of the tiger. The poet says that one cannot hear his footsteps, or we cannot hear the footsteps of the tiger because he has a very soft feet, or he has a very soft paws which is like that of velvet, and because of that there is no sound of the tiger's footsteps. We cannot hear the steps of the tiger. in his quiet rage. Rage means violent or uncontrollable anger, or you can say extreme anger. The poet says that the tiger tries to control his anger by quietly working in the limited area of his cage, and he is angry because he is not free. Now let's see and read the second stanza of the poem. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the waterhole where plum deer pass. Lurking means to be hidden as to wait for prey, or we can say lurking means ambush. Okay, so the poet says that if this tiger or if the tiger was free, he would have hid himself, or he would have been hidden himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer or its prey in order to have it as a food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. Now let's read the third stanza of the poetry. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. Snarls or snarling means makes an angry warning sound or a warning sounds made by animals. Baring means uncovered, or you can say exposing or uncovering. And fangs means sharp tooth of animals or a large sharp tooth, especially a canine tooth of a dog or wolf. Here, fangs refers to the canine tooth of the tiger. Basically, here in the third stanza, the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create, or that would create, fear among the people living in the villages. But it didn't happen because the tiger is in the cage of the zoo. The fourth stanza of the poem says, but he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Concrete means building made of bricks, cement, sand and water. Now in this stanza, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says that, or the poet says that, the tiger is confined in a strong cell or a concrete cell which is made up of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. That's why the poet says, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Now let's read the last stanza of the poem. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Patrolling means to guard or to vigil, or we can say keeping watch over an area by regular walking or traveling around it. The poet in the last stanza says that at night the tiger hears the sounds of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So at night the tiger hears the sounds of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet actually wants to say that the tiger is sad, perhaps very sad, and as he is confined in the case, so he cannot do anything. Therefore he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. Now let's see some of the important poetic devices used in the poem. The first one, rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of the poetry is ABCB. So the ABCB scheme is followed. The second one is personification. Several times the tiger in the poem is attributed by the word he. So the tiger is being personified. The third one is metaphor. In the third line of the first stanza, metaphor is used. Paws of tiger are compared with soft velvet. So it is metaphor. The fourth one is alliteration. Alliteration is used in the last line of the second stanza, plumb their past. And also in the last stanza, first line, he hears. The fifth poetic device used in the poem is lurking in shadow. In the first line of the second stanza, lurking in shadow is an imagery. The sixth poetic device used is repetition. Repetition can be found in the first stanza, velvet quiet, and in the last line of the first stanza, quiet reigns. The word quiet is repeated. The poetry A Tiger in the Zoo brings the idea that freedom is very important both to humans and animals. No animal can be happy in a cage. The caged tiger has a little space to move about, and naturally he is sad. He should have been in the forest, hiding in the long grass or lurking near some pool of water in order to pounce upon his prey. But this is not possible, for he is in captivity or in the cage of the zoo. Another point which is stressed by the poet indirectly is that preservation of wildlife, which is possible only by afforestation. If we continue to cut down trees and destroy natural habitats of animals, the animals will either perish or become a danger to those who live on the edges of the forest. It is therefore necessary to preserve natural habitats of wild animals. So students, that's all for today's class. Hope you enjoyed and understood the poetry, and I would like to advise you to read the poetry once again so that you have a better understanding. Thank you. God bless you.